So we can define a trauma as really anything that causes intense suffering, and what might be traumatic to one person may not necessarily be traumatic to another person. And it's our job and our duty to not judge that continuum. But when we have a trauma, there is a culture kind of trend to, in the name of trying to help us, saying things like move on, or my favorite is don't be so sensitive. Just don't be so sensitive. Just toughen up. And I've heard that my whole life from teachers, coaches, family members, friends, people I was in relationships with. And this does a huge disservice to our psyche. And the reason is because we have these parts of our psyche, and they are like our little inner children. And they feel a lot of intense emotion. And they are wonderful when they're feeling safe and nurtured. So they're the parts that make us feel creative and playful and like we want to adventure. But they're also the parts that feel extreme pain and emotion when something traumatic does happen. And so when we, as a culture, say things to our family or friends or colleagues such as, hey, just toughen up, or hey, just don't be so sensitive, what happens is that person is extremely likely to start to repress those emotions and repress those feelings, because those parts of their psyche are going, oh, it's not safe to feel like this. Oh, I shouldn't be this sensitive. Oh, I just need to toughen up. And then we basically repress these feelings that we actually haven't dealt with, and we put it in a room and we literally just throw away the key in the hopes that we never have to deal with it. And then we end up dealing with it in rough ways later on, whether that be physically or a lot physically. That's kind of what I talk about as a coach, is a lot physically. But there are many other ways that we could deal with it. Different addictions, right? Different manifestations of that pain and that trauma. And so basically, the injury to these parts of our psyche is the trauma that you've experienced. But the insult to these parts of your psyche is the fact that they actually feel abandoned by us. So that's a little food for thought. This is some work from Internal Family Systems by Richard Schwartz. And it kind of gives us a whole new focus on, hey, maybe we should not tell people to move on or grow up or stop being so sensitive, because that's going to affect them in a profound, profound way. Maybe not right now, maybe not as they're growing up, maybe not when they're on the soccer field and their coach is saying that, but 10, 15, maybe 20 years later, that's going to come back. Let's not teach each other that it's unsafe to feel feelings and emotions. Let's create a safe space for all of us to feel everything that we need to feel in order to live a healthful, joyful, sustainable life. Thanks.